Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. So today I want to talk about the new Superman movie that premiered this week. It's doing really well at the box office. It's currently the third biggest movie for 2025 based on opening weekend numbers, which is after Minecraft and Lilo and Stitch, which I think says a lot about the current state of the movie industry, for better and for worse. I'm not a big fan of it personally, but it is what it is. Also comparatively, Elio, which was Pixar's latest movie, only just recently reached $100 million at the box office, and that's been in theaters for over a month, I believe. So it is possible that Elio could still turn around. As it says here, Elemental originally underperformed in its first few months at the box office, but it eventually came back around. Still though, it's pretty sad to see Pixar fall this far. But regardless, back to Superman. I did see the film, and I thought that it was overall pretty good. Admittedly, I wasn't a huge fan of the way the movie started. It was very tell, don't show, where they had text explaining everything that's been going on with Superman, you know, where he came from and what he's been up to until the movie starts. And it kind of felt like we were dropped into the middle of the story without any real setup. But once it started going, I did enjoy it. They used the old trope of the supervillain using propaganda to turn the public against the superhero, and it works for a movie like this. Nothing groundbreaking, but still a fun time. But anyway, let's get into the numbers, I guess. So the article says that turnout was slightly softer than expected at the international box office with 95 million from 78 markets, bringing its global tally to 217 million. But box office watchers say they aren't surprised that Superman started stronger in the US compared to overseas because the character, whose motto is truth, justice, and the American way, is the quintessential star-spangled hero. It might also be that superheroes are still more popular in the United States compared to overseas. But still, this is an outstanding domestic opening. If there's any softness here, it's overseas, said David A. Gross, who runs franchise movie consulting firm. Superman has always been identified as an American character, and in some parts of the world, America is currently not enjoying its greatest popularity. Warner Brothers and DC Studios have a lot at stake, and not just because Superman cost a hefty $225 million to produce and roughly $100 million to promote. So it's already made back a decent portion of its budget with the $217 million. I wouldn't be surprised if this movie does pretty well overall. The superhero film is the first entry in the relaunched DC universe and has colossal responsibility of igniting a new interconnected comic book universe for the studio. So they're trying to kickstart another DC cinematic universe, and this movie did include a lot of other characters like Hawkgirl and Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific, and I did enjoy them in this film. Then it goes on to list some of their projects in the works. There's going to be a new Wonder Woman movie, which I'm sure will be better than 1984, but I'm hoping that it's going to be really good. And then Supergirl 2, which makes a lot of sense to follow up this movie. But James Gunn and Peter Safran took over the leadership of DC Studios in 2022 after its last iteration of superhero movies imploded with the epic losing streak of The Flash. I don't know why they even released The Flash, honestly, considering the huge mess that it was very obviously going to be and everything that happened with Ezra Miller and stuff. Like, if they're gonna write off any movie for tax purposes, it probably would have been that movie. I'm just saying. Instead, they were going after like Coyote vs. Acme and other animated films. But I guess hindsight is 2020. But yeah, the DC cinematic universe was not doing well, and I'm not surprised that they're rebooting it, but hopefully they'll learn from everything that happened in the last few movies and try to do better. Like, here's a statement from David Zaslav talking about the opening weekend. This is all part of my bold 10-year plan. So basically they're going to try to recreate the MCU with DC, which the MCU has also been struggling, but Hollywood is a very fallback on what's safe, do what we know works kind of business model, so they're gonna keep cranking out superhero movies, even if it's from DC. But let's move on. 3 years ago, I hired James Gunn and Peter Safran to reimagine and unify the creative direction of DC under one leadership team, said David Zaslav, president and CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery. In a statement, the DC vision is clear, the momentum is real, and I couldn't be more excited for what's ahead. Okay, but will he bring back those animated features? Gunn, best known for Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad, directed Superman. The story follows the earnest hero as he proves to the world that he's trying to do good after the villainous Lex Luthor executes a plan plan to turn public opinion against him. In Clark Kent's corner is reporter Lois Lane and his faithful companion Krypto the Superdog. Critics and audiences have embraced the film with an 82% average on Rotten Tomatoes and A grade on CinemaScore exit polls. That reception is a start in terms of earning back the confidence of DC fans. I am glad that they acknowledged that they were fighting an uphill battle, but I also hope that they recognize that it was their fault to begin with for making subpar movies. It also seems to be an endorsement of Gunn's lighter and escapist vision after director Zack Snyder's dark and dour take on characters in the DC Extended Universe, with entries like 2016's Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice and 2017's Justice League. Attendance for Superman skewed younger, with moviegoers under the age of 25 accounting for 28% of opening weekend crowds. I do like that there's a lot more color in this new version of the DC cinematic universe, because the original movies, like aside from Aquaman and the original Wonder Woman, they were mostly very dark lighting wise and they looked very washed out, and it just was not really appealing. Even movies like Wonder Woman 1984, which, you know, a lot of the posters had very colorful effects on it. If you actually watch the movie, like the fight scenes with Cheetah are very dark and just very ugly looking. And to be fair, that's hardly the worst of that movie. But just the way the production was handled, I did enjoy the look of this movie a lot more. So I'm definitely supportive of this direction. Gunn chose not to rely on big stars. Storytelling and filmmaking are doing the work here, Gross says. This is the original comic book hero story about a flawed and reluctant everyman who uses his special powers to fight evil. That arc is reliable and relatable. And as for the relying on big stars, I believe Anthony Mackie said that there aren't any really big Hollywood stars anymore, and now people are mostly focusing on characters. So I think that it was probably a better choice not to worry about like a list or casting, since people are going to come specifically for these characters like Superman and Krypto. I really like Krypto and the others, but yeah, let's keep going. Positive word of mouth will be vital to Superman's box office staying power. That's because big opening weekends are rarely a problem for comic book movies, especially ones anchored by a hero as universally recognizable as Superman, but the ability to keep drawing crowds over the busy summer season will be a truer test of the property's cinematic strength. Just look at what happened in recent installments of Disney's comparatively more popular cinematic universe, like 2023's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and this year's Captain America: Brave New World. Those big budget tentpoles started strong at the box office, only to completely collapse in subsequent weekends. Meanwhile, Superman's last solo outing, 2013's Man of Steel, with Henry Cavill, generated a healthy $116 million in its opening weekend, not adjusted for inflation, but didn't inspire the kind of lasting enthusiasm that spawns an enduring cinematic universe. I do think that Man of Steel made some choices that did not resonate with people, basically everything involving Pa Kent. A lot of people took issue with that, with him saying that he shouldn't go out of his way to save people, and then ultimately sacrificing himself in a tornado, and specifically telling Clark not to save him, because he didn't want him to reveal the fact that he has superpowers in front of everyone, so he just lets himself die. Spoiler, by the way, if you haven't seen Man of Steel. But a lot of those choices just rubbed people the wrong way, especially like with the tornado scene. Clark has super speed. I'm sure he could have gotten him out of there without anyone really noticing. So the article then goes on to say, Superman continues a stellar box office streak for Warner Brothers following the back-to-back-to-back hits of a Minecraft movie, Sinners, Final Destination Bloodlines, and F1 the movie. Those blockbusters arrived after the studio's painful streak of commercial flops, including Mickey 17, The Alto Nights, and Joker Folie à Deux. I hope Disney will be able to make a comeback like that. With those successes and other recent winners, overall theatrical revenues are 15% of the same point in 2024, according to ComScore. However, they are still roughly 24% behind 2019, which is pre-pandemic. Upcoming releases like Marvel's The Fantastic Four: First Steps, Liam Neeson's The Naked Gun reboot, and Freakier Friday hope to help set a post-pandemic box office record. It is pretty wild to think that we still haven't actually recovered from the pandemic. Though there have been some casualties, this highly competitive summer movie marketplace has been great for most films, says senior ComScore analyst Palm Dergarabedian. I am so sorry if I butchered that. The depth and breadth of titles from every genre has driven one of the best summer movie seasons ever, so it does look look like they're recovering from the pandemic, but at the same time, it would be nice if some of these were more, original titles. Like we had Sinners, which was cool, but then it's mostly, reboots and sequels and stuff. And obviously people were arguing that if that were the case and people wanted more original movies, then they should have just gone and seen Elio, but Elio just didn't really seem to have a lot going for it outside of being a Pixar movie, and Disney put all their budget into supporting Lilo and Stitch instead of Elio, and it just came off as derivative anyway. I don't know, I'm glad that the people who did see it really liked it. I personally just thought it was okay, but we'll have to see how their next film turns out. I think the trailer for Pixar's Hoppers is coming out next week, and we'll have to see how this new DC cinematic universe plays out. Will Superman be able to keep up its momentum, or will it just be really successful for its opening weekend and then just drop off? I think we'll definitely have to see. Like the article said, that's the real test. But I think overall it did a decent job with groundwork for this new cinematic universe and introducing more characters, while also still focusing largely on Superman, which is good considering the fact that this is a Superman movie. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this Superman movie. Let me know what you think of this new DC cinematic universe. Do you think it'll be able to do well, or do you think it's going to be rebooted again in like 5 years? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. So with that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. Before I go, I want to give a shout out to our members: Tyrant Carnivore, Shiny Orc Boy, Depth Charge Media, Samaru163, Gabby Hime, Verdant Range, JVR, Equestron, Norman Sweet Cream, Way Beyond Coincidence, Hunter Rose, 80s Nostalgia Guy, Felix Bam, Lucas Geist, J Draws, Meowsers, Sky, Philip, Isaac Martinez, Garcia XV Legend, Tobias Weller, Bandito Bane, Mac B909, Dakari the Professor, Todd McCaffrey, Omni Fair, Cavalcoj, Strider Exile, Phil C, Killer Bomb, Slawa Saporiguez, Entwined Boot 301, Griffin of Might, Frankie Camarillo, Datadyne Executive, Crimson Phantom, Jin the Goblin, Papa Hud 69, The Gengar King, Daunter, G-Rock, and Chaos Jumper. Thank you for the support, and if you want to become a member, you can hit the join button next to the subscribe button. We also have Buy Me Coffee if you want to support us that way. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and that part's free. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.